In this video, I'm going to show you how you can do a very quick setup to actually capture respondents' data using the Embeddable recorder in Speak. I'm going to walk through this. First thing we do, let's actually create the data set. We call them folders in here, but that's basically the data set that you want to go. So let's go respondent data. And there's really nice team management function in here. So you can assign this to team members in the folder who are working on this specific project. So now that I've got the actual respondent folder here, I'm going to go ahead, click and create the recorder. So recorder here, let's do, again, respondent. Just gonna keep the naming consistent here. I always get nervous when someone watches me type, and I'll put recorder just so we've got the name there. Description doesn't really matter. And then you've got a couple options. You can choose to collect audio. You can choose to collect video. You can choose for a customer to allow you to collect a screen recording. And then there's a great upload file option. So a few things, just a note here. You can choose the language that you want to submit the recorder in. If you think that you're going to get multiple submissions, there is multiple options. So it will automatically detect the language and then transcribe and analyze in that language, which is a great function. And then all I'm going to do, jump in here, and I'm going to link this to the actual folder that I have. And then I'm now going to say, hey, I've got recording length. The minimum I want it to be is 15 seconds, and the max I want it to be is 5 minutes. Let's drop that even lower. Let's go down. Let's go 2 minutes, 5 seconds there. And then I'm going to say, yes, let's transcribe and analyze it right away. You can choose to turn that off and you can analyze that later, but most people we find turn that on. And then you can also get a notification when respondents submit. So a great little option there. I'll choose both. People will get an actual notification. And then you can also say, hey, we can send a confirmation to the client itself. So once they submit, they can get a notification too. Some people choose to do this, some people don't, but this is a great one. And if you're working more closely with us on an enterprise plan, you can completely customize this email, which is a great function. But for now, I'll hit save. And then I've got basically the information that I want to collect. And in this case, I literally can say, hey, add a question. You can make it required, you can make it optional. And then we have the type of question that you want it to be. As an example, all the options are basically there. In this case, I can go, what country are you located? And this is, again, very simple. I answer here, I'll go Canada, that's where I am. And then we'll go United States. And then we'll include other options so that they can actually do that. Now, one of the things that's really important concept in here is this idea of fields. So this is basically what you're creating is a field that you're populating the data to. And so what I can see, I've got my field here. I've already got one for the country that I'm in. And I literally simply would hit create. I would say country. I would hit type. So what kind of information is it actually going to be? And then the description itself. And I'm going to show you how this actually creates value as you move forward when I walk through the rest of this. Now let's go Mexico there as well. So in this case, I'm actually going to map this directly to the country, and this is basically going to populate the response in that field that we have created. So great, you've got that. I'm also collecting name, I'm collecting email, and let's do one more just to get this sort of set up nicely here. Let's go the language that we speak. So again, you've got the options there. And instead of radio button in this one, I'm going to give the drop down. So I'm going to go English, and then I'm going to go French. And I'm also going to go, let's go Spanish. I love for my Spanish people. And in that, I'm going to also hit include other, and I'm going to map that to the language itself. So I'm going to hit add, and there we can now move on. We've got basically the text questions that we want to include with the actual audio video recording itself. So I'm going to hit next, and then now if you are interested, you can actually custom brand this. So I've got the color that I want, and I've now added the Speak logo. Wonderful. So now I can click next. And basically I've got two ways that I can embed this. So I can create an iframe recorder, and this will allow you to take it and put it on any web page that you want. So people do that. They put it on their landing page, they put it on their portals, and that's where they actually collect the data. Or we automatically create a custom branded page for you. And again, a great note here is that you can create a fully branded domain here so that you Speak no longer exists. It's completely white labeled. And if you're interested in that, let us know. There's a great enterprise option for that, and more than happy to set you up. And what I'm going to actually title the recorder, which will pop up on the screen here, is what do you predict in 2025? 2025. So I'll be able to save that. And now when I go to share, I can pop open this recorder. You can see what do you predict in 2025 is the screen there now. And so if I wasn't tapped in on this actual audio stream myself in this recorder, I'd be able to go through and I would be able to submit the audio recording. So I would go here, I would type in my name, you got my email, tyler@speakai.co. I'm in Canada, and then I am speaking English. So I can hit next, and then I would actually start the recording here. And here you can see what would be this little box. There's going to be some nice audio waves, and you can see this in other videos. But again, because I'm tapped in this microphone recording this video, that won't work. So what I'm going to do, I'll refresh and I can start the process over again. There's a great little process where you can listen back to what you said, make sure it's good, and then submit. In this case, I've got an upload file option. And so I'm just going to submit a couple little recordings that I did earlier just so we can see how that would work. And basically the analysis will be the same. So I've got Canada, and then I've got English, and then I've got a file here that I am now submitting. You can see submission 1, Tyler, and then I'm going to upload. So that should just take a second, and you can see the file is uploaded successfully. Now, what's great is if I refresh this, you can start to see the responses are coming in. You can see Tyler, my name, country that I'm located in, and then the language as well. And so you can see that is now available. And I'm going to go through one more just so we can see a diversity of answers. So I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to pretend I'm another person. It's going to be called James David. Very original, very clever Tyler. And then it's going to be James David, gmail.com. This person actually loaded in the United States, and they're also going to speak English. So next, upload, and then I've got a submission I am going to drop in. And again, you can think this is the experience that the respondent is going to happen. They're then redirected, and there's some great configuration and customization we can do where you want them to redirect if you are interested in engaging in that. But you're looking at sort of the base platform today that anyone can access immediately here when they start the platform and a trial within the system. So you've got James David, and then you've got Tyler Bryden as well. You've got 2 submissions. One thing to note, really interesting, we've added this statistics layer into the platform. So you can immediately get some statistics based on the submissions that are taking place. You can see the time, you can see the date, you can see the day. So that starts to get interesting if you're collecting on an ongoing basis. You can see the city, Mississauga, not revealing too much information here, Canada, and submission by browser. And then you can even see some of the question analytics down here. But there's a lot more than this. And so what I'm going to now do, I'm going to jump back into this folder, and I can see the respondent data is now also populated with this information. And this is now where the field starts to come into play. I've got those fields that I've created. So one was country, and then the other was language. And I'm going to hit that columns function. I'm going to drop them so you can actually see that. Super nice. And then you can see the tag on that recorder there. We've got a 35-second recording. I think I went a little long on that one, and then 17 seconds here. And I can now click in. Transcriptions come back immediately. And there is sentiment analysis, which is great. And there is also some insights here where you can start to explore what was emerging in this data. And you don't have to do that on just an individual file. I can actually look at this from a folder level. So same way that I was just looking at an individual, I have an Explore Insights here, and I can start to see what has appeared in the actual data itself. So I have the keywords, I've got a nice little word cloud that's visualizing it, and then I can see the times appeared with the actual density. So that's a really fantastic function. Now, a very great note is, say you're collecting on an ongoing basis, I can actually go into a little bit more advanced version of the Explore Insights page where I can basically be in this data. And say I was to say, hey, let's look at the last 12 months versus the previous 12 months. You can start to see some comparison in this data, which is a really nice way to compare, contrast the actual changes there. So this is a keyword report at a base level. And then you've also got the sentiment layer here as well too. Now, again, nothing too crazy. We've got 2 responses coming in, so you can start to see the breakdown of that. And this is actually by sentences, but that becomes really powerful once you start to collect more. And then finally, we actually have a field analysis. So in this case, we know that we analyzed the country and we know that we analyzed language. I can now do country, and I can start to do some analysis on that as well too. So country, and then the same thing, I can quickly toggle through to language. In this case, both were English. So you start to see that analysis. If you're doing more advanced things, then there's a really great function that I'm more than happy to show you here. And I know we're going a little long, but this is super powerful stuff, and I just want to walk through it all the way. So this is now where we start to look at how can we use the AI to classify or find themes in this information. A very short data set or submission here, but I'm still going to take a crack at it. So I've got 2 submissions. I'm going to hit yes, I'm going to hit chat, and then there's a really important piece. So I've got map response to field, and then now I'm going to hit exploratory classifications, and I'm going to hit confirm. And what I can now do is add a little prompt here, and I'm going to say, please review this respondent data on what they are predicting in 2025 and give me the top themes in a comma separated list. And you can see, so now that's the prompt. There's a really great function called the assistant type where you can actually add more context. And this is where we often see people load the context of the project in. And you can look at that in another video. There's a great resource. And again, what you've seen here is that you can actually map that response to the field. And basically I've created an exploratory classification or basically theme extraction out of this. And so what I can now do, hit this, and it's going to process, and it's doing it on 2 files. So what can I do here now? I can refresh. And I have, just like I did before, I can start to explore the themes that had come out. And some of them, again, are related to the keywords that we had already seen, but on larger data sets or more in-depth response, you can start to see some really fascinating things. And I have another video where we talk, how do we move from exploratory classification to more standardized classification, but just wanted to show an example. And now what happens if I go back to this Explore Insights, we're going to start to see some more things emerge. So I'm going to hit Explore Insights, and I'm just going to say folder includes respondent data. I'm going to hit apply filter, and then I'm going to go to the fields here. And now I'm going to go to the exploratory classification. What's interesting is this is all grouped together, but I got some good news. I can hit separate this by comma, and we start to see the themes that had emerged in a much more specific way. So nothing too much, very short responses, but if there were specific matches on that, we would actually see them grouped together with the density. This would often happen with more responses, more in-depth responses, or if I was to move from, say, exploratory classification and move into standardized classification. That's a really great process. And again, I have a great video on that. If you're looking for more of a just high-level summary, the AI chat function, you don't have to map to the field. I can just hit new chat. I can look at the files that are in there, and I can say, hey, what are the main predictions for 2025? I can hit enter. It's going to run that analysis, and it's going to populate a response for me here and give me a more high-level summary of the data. That's often how people get exploratory classification of data as well. Now, you could ask, okay, this is great. I've got all this in my system. Is there any way I can share this with my client? I'm very happy to say, yes, you can. I can now go back into my folder, share folder. I can generate a link. I can custom brand it just as we had before. So I can add the Speak logo. I can add my own call to action buttons as I want. I can allow my client to chat just like I chatted before, and then I can make it publicly accessible, and it creates a link similar to what we just saw in the Explore Insights. You can now share that with the client and they can interact with it. You can actually custom brand and white label this completely. Really fascinating. The sentiment that is there, the fields are there, everything that we've showed you internally, you can now flip out to your client. So your client could see the actual data visualization. They can also interact with the fields that are available, like exploratory insights. They can still do that comma separation themselves. They can do the media list and actually view the files. They can chat with that data just like I did. And then what's great, I can listen back to the audio. I can see the keywords that had emerged. I can chat with that specific entry, and then I can even see some of the analysis that has been done. And similar to how there were recorder stats, I can also start to see data come in once I start to interact more deeply with it. I'm in the same session, but this would actually start to populate and you'd see a great report. Here is an example of one where people have actually interacted with this embeddable library, and we find people are sharing this with their clients and getting better insights into how they're interacting with it and making sure that there is engagement with the reports that they're actually creating. I know we went through a lot in that video, but that's a full walkthrough from creating that recorder and the form all the way to the final delivery and report in this interactive media one that can be completely customizable. I hope you enjoy. And as always, if you need any help, feel encouraged, send us a message. We got live chat. You can email me, tyler@speakai.co. There's success@speakai.co, or check out our website and find some more contact details. Thank you so much for checking this out. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.